All right. Happy fucking Monday. We're ready for some chimmy fucking chongas because it is Deadpool discussion day. And you just can't have Deadpool without saying fuck a whole hell of a lot. You just can't. See, he's so cute.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, everybody. Well, you surprised me. I wasn't expecting such a like not naughty start. But yeah,
Oh
we have
man, I've been
both,
throwing the F bomb around all day today. Oh, it's just been one of
and
those
I'm
days.
guessing it's not because of Deadpool.
No, it was because of something else I don't, because of BioWare's thing. But
Oh, did it start a flame war or something?
no, no, it's just, Blake and I just kind of went back and forth on the whole. Basically, if you hadn't read the news story, it's BioWare reached out and said, hey, would anyone be interested in a Dragon Age tactics game? And as I bluntly put it to Blake, I fucking hate turn-based tactical games. And he was trying to argue with me that Dragon Age Origins is a turn-based tactical game. And I was like, no, it's not. And he said, if you played it on PC, it was. And I said, I did play it on PC. It's a CRPG on PC, but it's not turn-based tactical.
It's not a turn-based tactical at all. It can be paused.
Yes, but
You
so
can play it in real time,
like a CRPG.
but it's not a turn-based.
Right.
Turn-based is something very specific, and that's like specific to games like XCOM and Dragon Age is just a different genre.
Right. So, I mean, we're going. So he's like, well, did you play Banner Saga? I said, yes. And I noped the fuck out of it. Like, so that's just kind of what started it. He was asking if I played this or played that. I'm like, yes. And I fucking hated it. I fucking hated it. Dude, I fucking hate these games. Stop asking me. It's just a
Well,
preference.
okay, so what was the fucking response from the BioWare like
Oh, they
enthusiasts?
haven't decided anything. I think they were just reaching out, trying to, just get.
No. I mean, what was the feedback from people like in
Oh,
general? Did you get a chance?
49% of people that responded said yes. What was really funny is that it probably would have been higher, but
Yeah.
22% or 23% said only if it's on PC.
Well, it
Which,
kind of makes sense. I mean,
yeah, I
then
have played a turn-based tactical game on Xbox 360, and that is, because I'm going to keep using this word, fucking awful. Uh,
well, I don't know. Played XCOM Enemy Unknown, or was it? Yeah, it was Enemy Unknown on the Xbox 360, and it worked great. So I'm kind of the still for. Although I wasn't too crazy about. Okay, granted, that's a real-time strategy, Halo Wars, but that was on console as well.
yeah, I never tried
As for
that, which I think would just be weird. An RTS on
It was
console would
kind
just
of
be
weird.
weird.
Amazingly enough, they kind of pulled it off. Uh, I can't explain how, but I don't ever remember being somehow, confused or annoyed because I was playing a strategy game on a console. Although beyond XCOM, I really can't remember playing any turn-based games
Hmm.
on console. Still, but I would expect BioWare enthusiasts for some reason to approve this idea
Oh, well, uh,
because
the
I
way that
mean
I've.
generally in previous like in their like history all they made was basically RPGs, but they were
Right.
really like detailed and all that stuff,
They were
so it would be
CRPGs.
interesting. Yeah, they were CRPGs, but it would be like cool to see them take a step further and try a different thing. But essentially, I think they could pull it off because at least looking at how many people like games like XCOM right now. So it's kind of the way we didn't have any space shooters for a time, and now everybody's making space shooters. So now it feels like we need to do this. Maybe people want this now. I don't know. I would like to see it personally.
Well, I was talking to a friend today about it, who apparently she hates them as much as I do. She was saying that her big thing about it is that she said, does no one remember Brutal Legend? I was like, well, that's not the same thing. That was a real-time strategy. And she said, but her thing was, she's like, you're talking about someone who left their wheelhouse of this typical game style, and then they tried to do Brutal Legend, and it ended up being terrible because they threw some real-time strategy. in the middle of it.
Wasn't Brutal Legend like a third-person action game or something? I can't remember. But
it was supposed to be a third-person action RPG.
Yeah.
And it ended up in the middle of it suddenly, and everyone loved it till you get to a certain part, and then the real-time strategy comes in. Everyone's like, "No, fuck this! Like, we don't want this. This is supposed to be an action RPG." And I think it was a Tim Schafer game because he was going on about how he's like, it's not a real-time strategy, and like Penny Arcade did one of the best comics about it. So I think it was Gabe was complaining about playing it, and Taika said, now, if it looks like a real-time strategy, and it sounds like a real-time strategy, and it plays like a real-time strategy, what is it? And Gabe goes, is it a real-time strategy? And the last panel is Kaiko beating the shit out of him, saying, don't you listen to Master Tim? It is not a real-time strategy. It's an action RPG. And And so that was her point, is like when you try to break out of what you normally do, it ends up like Brutal Legend. But I mean, with everything that's weird going on in BioWare anyway, with stuff just disappearing, who knows? Maybe they're looking at totally wiping the slate and doing something brand new, or maybe Mark Dara got XCOM 2 and was like, wow, this is really, really fun. I bet I could see Dragon Age do something like this.
People are eating it up. They're like pretty taken by the game. I don't know. I don't know. Does it have anything to do that really with the fact that either people are keen about the genre and there are not that many around, or is it the fact that I don't think we lack any PC releases. There have been a lot of games to play lately. I mean, every every beta we've had recently was available for PC as well, right? Like The Division and all that stuff. So people aren't short of games to play, and there's a whole ton of, shit on Steam, and so I think it's just basically the genre, to be honest. But XCOM is a very, it's kind of, they nailed it basically. That's what I'm saying. Apart from the, technical issues, they're not minor, but the game needs polishing. Essentially, the gameplay mechanics work really well. So what BioWare needs to do is either take that kind of formula and then work with it somehow, embellish it, BioWare style or whatever, maybe make a good story, and then I'm pretty sure people will be interested in it.
Yeah, and then I will die inside because there's a Dragon Age game I will never play, and there I'll be behind on some story.
Oh, come on! Don't be so pessimistic.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna suck like it's gonna be a bad game. I'm never gonna play it. I never will, because as I explained to Blake, like, I don't get joy out of setting up your people for an hour just to watch them all get wiped out and have to start over. That doesn't appeal to me.
It doesn't have to be punishing as XCOM.
I'm not saying XCOM, but like, I mean, any of those turn-based games, it's like you take forever to move your people and try to get this strategy, and then like either the boss comes in and wipes everybody out, and it's like, okay, now you go restart your save points. Like, son of a bitch! Now I have to like redo this and move. Well, no, I don't like it.
It is, it is kind of the. I mean, it's the challenge they do set up, and maybe I don't know, the way I like to play XCOM. But then again, I do keep, repeating that I'm a kind of a perfectionist that way, is for all of my squad members to survive, no matter how many times I have to reload my save. I don't know if you would have patience for that, but I'm saying if BioWare did their thing and they make a good story, why not?
Well, it's like I tried Banner Saga at probably PAX South, I think, last year. And they were telling me, because I was like, I saw what it was, and I was about to walk away. I said, you don't understand. I'm not the person that needs to do this. And they said, oh, no. It's actually really good because if you lose a battle, it doesn't, you don't have to start it over. You just have to move on.
Yeah.
I still hated it. Absolutely hated it.
Well, fair point.
It was just torture for me. So that's just,
that game, for instance,
it's just not my thing.
Yeah, it's different. That game had kind of it had multiple paths. It had no dialogue. A lot of dialogue, but no voiceovers, no voice acting. So I don't know. Maybe you kind of.
That had nothing to do with it. It was the gameplay. Like every move was absolute torture for me.
The gameplay was. but it's different, very different to XCOM again. Not all turn-based strategies are the same. That's what I'm trying to say.
I've played JRPG strategy games, which are awful. And
it could happen that they're kind of testing the waters and seeing how people would respond. It may not necessarily, if they decide to make it, it may not necessarily like turn out to be this like huge game. Maybe they just want to make it.
The interesting thing was like with the poll questions was, yes, no, PC only, or mobile only. And so those 49% said yes, 23% were PC only, 22% were no, and then 7% were on mobile only. I was like, well, I guess I could see the mobile thing because with the touch, I can see that, but then you wouldn't get the same BioWare experience.
No,
so,
I would say no to mobile, definitely.
Well, it's because you and I don't play games on mobile. So.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of cool games. I have played a lot of cool games on mobile. That's not what I'm saying. But for this kind of thing from BioWare, I would definitely like to see a full on AAA product. That's all I'm saying. But that's me. You know what?
I think this will be, if they do release something like this, and they might not, but if they do, this is going to be something that's going to be as divisive as Final Fantasy Tactics is for Final Fantasy fans, because people will say Tactics is the best game, and those who don't like that genre say it was, it's the blemish on the whole franchise. So it's going to be one of those situations. The difference is that, every Final Fantasy game, you don't need the one before to understand what's going on in the current one. So, not playing Tactics doesn't take anything out. My fear would be not playing this Dragon Age game would remove a big chunk out of the lore, which would be very important to me.
Okay. Right. You know what I'm thinking now, though? That we kind of started this vidcast hoping to talk about Deadpool, which I can say, definitely vouching for both of us, that was a great movie, and yet we ended up talking about BioWare, which usually happens.
Well, okay, in my defense, I said this was like my word of the day, and you're like, well, why? And then I talked about the BioWare thing, and then it just kind of went.
Because it's recent. It happened in the last hour, or
we learned about it in the last couple of hours.
Well, we did, but yeah, I was like, it sort of kind of tickled my fancy. I'm curious what this might be. So, obviously they're just as I said, testing the waters. But going back to cinema, we have both watched Deadpool. So to anybody who has not watched the movie yet, this is going to be a discussion with spoilers in it. So spoilers.
Yeah, I don't know how to discuss it without being spoilers. Otherwise, they'd be like, Deadpool was great. This was funny. Yay.
I know.
Go on.
I know. It's hard to talk about that movie and not mention all the hilarious scenes that took place, or at least going through some of the examples, because you need to explain to people why it was cool.
Right.
So yeah, to people who haven't watched it, just don't you skip this part. Essentially, you saw it I don't know, a couple of days before me, or a week before.
Yeah, because I actually saw it. It's a miracle, but I saw it the Saturday it released. So because it released.
That's always a huge challenge for you. Yeah.
Well, we didn't have the kids, so we're like movie night, and it just happened to be the Deadpool just released, and we were able to go, and
you were lucky, yeah.
Yeah, and Sean, he wanted to go just because I wanted to go, and it probably ended up being his favorite Marvel movie ever. He laughed harder than I did with stuff.
I think that that is easily explained with the for starters with the movie's rating. It's adult. I mean, what do you call it? R-rated. Is
R-rated?
Yeah. So you don't have. I don't think you have any superhero big budget Hollywood movie that's R-rated, right? Apart from that one, if I'm not mistaken. So this would be kind of the thing we have been waiting for a long time, because it has all of the jokes in it, and there are a lot of jokes, First of all, I mean, they all every joke in this movie lands perfectly. It's amazing to me because I actually thought it was going to be like maybe a couple of good gags in it, but maybe so hats off to the writers mostly on this one. Um, I laughed nearly all the time, which was a big surprise for me. Um, and I love the fact that these kinds of gags just resonate with me. Being because I was like growing up with comedies like Airplane and The Naked Gun and all that stuff. So it's kind of like it's adult, and yet it's a superhero movie with cool gags.
Okay, well,
You
I'm
know.
going to like go against something you said at the very beginning right there when you said
Oh,
we've been
sure.
waiting for a rated R superhero movie.
Oh, so it's not the only
No,
one?
there have been 50 others rated R superhero movies before this one.
When? When?
80s and 90s. Um,
Oh, you're kidding.
Watchmen, Kick Ass,
Oh yeah, Watchmen. Watchmen. Okay,
V
okay.
for
Yeah, I knew
Vendetta,
about one.
Blade, Sin City, The Crow, Dread, Robocop.
Sin City. Okay, Sin City is not a superhero movie.
It's a comic
Come on.
movie.
Well, it's
Highlander,
actually yeah,
Blade
but it's
2,
a
Spawn.
graphical novel based movie, not a
Spawn is a
comic.
comic book, superhero comic book. So Spawn, Kick Ass 2, and The Punisher.
Hmm.
I
Oh, I
forgot about
actually
the
didn't
Punisher
watch the.
movies.
Actually didn't watch the Punisher.
The Punisher
Spawn was
was really good, I thought.
Spawn was. I can't even remember that one so long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time. But probably the more recent one would be The Punisher, which was
Hmm.
actually pretty good. Um,
Well,
because that
well,
I forgot that was
we're
super violent. And Kick
yeah, but
Ass, which I didn't like it, but that's
maybe
me.
what I was yeah what I was like trying to get across is that it's the first in a long string of movies that were like the Avengers, all these Marvel movies that are not, they're for wide audience. This is not. You cannot watch this with your children, people.
Mm-mm.
You know,
Well, the people did
it's
bring their kids to the theater because they're idiots and selfish, but.
really
Mhm. Yep.
actually come to think of it. Well, no, I didn't see any like little kids
I didn't
when
see
I watched it.
little kids, but they were like 10. It was like pretty much
Um,
like actually
yeah.
within about the first minute of the movie, I leaned over to my husband and said, "Yeah, I don't know when the eldest is going to see this." He goes, "Yeah, probably not high school at the earliest." I'm like, "That's what I'm thinking." Because
That's
yeah,
what I was thinking. I mean,
yeah, no, but
okay,
these kids
yeah,
in the theater were not junior high or high school, but
right.
I
So
don't. I
mostly,
think people have missed the point with Deadpool because everyone's like, "See, rated R movies do work." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. You don't understand. That is not why Deadpool did so well. Deadpool did so well because they rated it based upon what the comic book is. They didn't try to
yeah,
make it something that it's not. Like you can't have Avengers be this super violent thing where Captain America says fuck. That doesn't work. It does not
right.
work. The way that they did Avengers and Iron Man and all that was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. They were even able to, to still have, Iron Man show what a philanderer he was and keep it PG-13 because you don't need to have all this other stuff. And
Yeah.
but Deadpool the way it is, you can't have Deadpool any other way. That's not who the comic is. So I think it's more of a proof of see this
No.
stuff works when we keep it to what it's supposed to be.
I think in this case they were very strict in terms of like staying true to the source material
Mhm.
because they obviously realized it's a huge like community of very loyal fans
Mhm.
and as you say the comic has a very specific like feel to it, a specific humor. But what most people, I think, enjoy is that he's in this constant state of mockery, of basically being cynical about everything, even himself,
Even his own
and
actor, which was
even his
great.
own actor, even the movie, which is
He
especially
even
hilarious
he
for me.
even made fun of the Green Lantern movie that Ryan Reynolds was in. It
Yeah,
was,
and
it was
they
so
had to put that in.
subtle, but that
Yeah,
was just brilliant.
yeah.
When he's like, don't give me a green suit, man. Just nothing but green. I don't want green. And when he's,
I'm totally done with green.
you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you know, and
because
he's like, I think he's talking to that blind woman who was saying that looks aren't everything, and he goes, "Do you think that Ryan Reynolds got by with his superior acting skills?" No. I'm like, oh, I can't believe he made.
you gotta love their relationship. I mean, Deadpool's and the blind woman. That's the best. I mean, like,
And it's
oh my
so
god.
much making fun of Wolverine and Hugh Jackman at the
Yeah,
same time. I mean, it's just
it's hilarious. I mean, uh, the fact that they also, they keep mocking because he is part of the, X-Men universe,
yes.
and that they couldn't get any. What was the line? Like
He's
any
like,
more?
this mansion is just so big, but there's always only two of you. It's like we couldn't. It's like the studio couldn't afford to hire a third X-Man.
Yeah, right. And there are more lines even referring to X-Men, like he mentions, but I think he mentions Patrick Stewart and James
Yes,
McAvoy at some point.
yes.
So that's the bit I love. But there are, even with all that stuff, which I kind of, those kinds of jokes and references are pretty good, and they're all like, well timed and all that stuff. So I kind of expected them, but they were still funny to me.
Hmm.
What I did, what kept me, laughing the whole time is like something surprising always happened. Like, but there are usually like these stupid details, like his reaction when he sees that the villain is no longer where he left it. Oh, it's like this stupid
And he
thing.
does the literal
Who does that?
he does the literal cartoon triple take, like he's just
Right, right. So while it's an R-rated thing, and it's usually like this is the stuff you laugh at if you've lived to a certain age, you won't otherwise be able to understand it. And at the same time, he does something stupid and childish, which again is very hilarious. So
I love that
I
he kept
mean,
leaving his guns everywhere. He kept losing his bag of guns.
yeah, yeah. So it's always like 12 bullets, and he forgets to bring his huge arsenal of
Yeah.
everything. Like, yeah. So um, I think the X-Men were okay. The what's his name? Is it Colossus?
Oh,
Or
yeah, his name is Colossus. I don't know
Colossus,
the
right?
younger girl. Like, I don't, and this is where my X-Men knowledge
Yeah,
is going to, because I haven't really read the X-Men since the 90s. So I don't know if she's because they didn't never really said her name. So I don't know if she's a brand
yeah,
new
yeah, yeah.
character from the comics or if they just created her for this film. Either way, it kind of worked. They chose a really good actress for her because she really kept the teenage deadpan look down. Like, even when he made fun of her, he's like, "What are you gonna do? Silence or witty remark? Silence, witty remark." She goes,
What's it gonna be? What's it gonna
"Yeah."
be?
You got me. You put me in a box. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was the best.
But
Yeah.
I loved Colossus because he was so Colossus. It's just from the comics. That's exactly how Colossus is. Like, when he's fighting against that the villain, the evil villain, and gosh, your video just froze on me. But he's fighting her, and she kind of like one of her boobs pops out, and he's still. We just lost Urash. There he is.
What happened? You just went away.
Nope,
Are we
you froze.
Are we still recording?
Yeah, still recording. It's
Good.
cool.
Okay.
You're back. It's all good. We just kind of had
Maybe-
little technical
maybe-
difficulties.
Maybe we said something we shouldn't have.
Oh yeah, maybe because I defended a Russian. Uh-oh.
Right. Yeah.
No, but what
So-
I was saying about Colossus was he was so Colossus. Like when he's fighting the female villain at the end, and she like one of her boobs pops out, and he's like, oh, like totally covers her up. It's like, do you want to fix that? And she's like, oh, thank you, you're so sweet.
And then she hits him like, yeah, really hard. Yeah. Nah.
But that was totally Colossus because he was always such an overly
He was,
gentleman.
yeah, goody. Yeah. I still can't believe that so many people loved that bit when he fights the two chicks, and then he's just like, I don't know if
But he
it's
starts
politically
apologizing.
correct to hit you
I was
guys,
like,
or
he starts apologizing because she's crying. He's like, wait, is it sexist to hit you? Is it sexist to not hit you? I'm just so confused.
yeah, it's a great jab at the whole PC thing. But
Oh, so great.
yeah, it's that to me like alone felt more liberating than I don't know than half of the movies I saw in the last 10 years. So I wouldn't say I mean my girlfriend liked it so much she was like I would love to see it again.
I know a lot of people have
Eh,
said that because they're afraid they might have missed some jokes because they were laughing.
Well, there was that, but I was kind of worried that I have the same sentiment, but I kind of want to wait a bit so that I would forget all the stuff, if you know what I mean,
I
and then kind of
understand, yeah.
enjoy it more. Because for me, it's that kind of experience. It's not like The Force Awakens, which I wanted to see like I don't know the next day. Well, maybe like 2 days after all my
Hmm.
just like impressions. I gathered all of my feelings about it and all, and then I immediately wanted to see it again. But this is kind of different. I don't know if I would enjoy it as much when I know certain jokes are coming.
Hmm.
So
No,
that's
yeah,
all
I,
I'm
I
saying.
can see that. See,
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way about The Force Awakens because I,
Mm.
I needed to digest so much.
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah, I needed
Yeah,
some time as
and
well, but
but but and also the thing with The Force Awakens was kind of like the whole like not knowing what's going on, and I kept waiting for Luke.
sure.
Well, now that I know that Luke doesn't say a word, to me it's not as you got the going kind of the anticipation kind of for it. So Force Awakens for me to do it. Now the first Avengers movie totally did it for me. Like as soon as like a friend of mine took me to see it. It was her second time to see it, and as soon as it was over, I like turned to her. I was like, again. Like I just want to sit in the seat and
Mm.
watch it again.
Yeah,
Um,
I know that feeling. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty awesome. But you know that like the teaser they released for episode 8, where we could just see Luke's face for one
mm-hmm.
split second, and the first comment on the YouTube page like was and he still doesn't say anything.
Actually, what's really funny is
It's like
Mark
I
Hamill tweeted that little teaser. He
mhm.
goes, "Guess what, boys and girls? I still don't say a fucking word."
Right, yeah. It's like why are you toying with us? Why? And it is kind of a sadistic thing they're doing here. And then another comment, like just below, that has the most, thumbs up. It is like, okay, no problem. I can watch this, like for 22,000 times, for the next 2 years, you guys, however long it takes for you guys to make the next movie. So, yeah, I mean, as much as YouTube comments, the comments can be ruthless, they can be so fun at times to
Mm-hmm.
read. But yeah, I think like Deadpool was this one of these movies. I can't say it's like the movie of the year for me, but it really felt like I needed this, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I missed this thing, where Hollywood is not, kind of too, scared to make fun of itself, which, is like everything needs to be, very strictly controlled, kind of. It doesn't let the characters kind of have this natural, adult conversation and come on,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just slap a rating and just, be funny. So that's what I missed. You know. So yeah, generally I was pretty happy with it. I'm kind of sad that I don't know if I've actually missed out on anything. I never played the game, which was on the PlayStation or whatever.
It's actually been re-released for PS4.
Oh, and on PSN?
Mm-hmm.
No. Well, yeah, but it's like it's old, isn't it? It's like a few years old.
Okay, the PS3 version, yes. The PS4 just
Yeah.
got released like November 2015. Like
Is it like
I don't know. Well, it may be the same graphics. I don't know. I don't
yeah.
care. I'm still interested because some of the videos I've seen from that game were so funny.
Yeah, well then I definitely need to check it out. I mean, but it's in an action game, is it? Is it a third
Mm-hmm.
person action or
It's
whatever?
action. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So definitely, yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that out. So yeah, we've covered Deadpool pretty much there. Unless you want to say something else.
I was just gonna talk about the Ferris Bueller scene at the end.
The what?
The Ferris Bueller scene.
What's that? Remind me,
Oh,
please.
someone never saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
No,
Oh my gosh. Well, then you wouldn't get the ending at all, the secret ending when he comes out in that bathrobe.
we did not see the ending.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
yes.
he comes out in this bathrobe, and as soon as he walks out, because it's like in this white-looking house, he's in this bathrobe, and immediately I'm like, oh my god, is this really from Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Because Ferris Bueller, at the very end of that movie, Matthew Broderick comes out in this exact bathrobe and is like, "What are you guys doing here? The movie's over. Go home. Go on. Get out of here." And that's kind of how they did at the end of the credits.
Yeah.
He did that. He came out and was like, "What are you guys doing here? Like, go home. The movie's over. Do you think you're going to have something about the sequel? We don't. Get out."
Yeah,
And
I heard about that. That's like one
yep.
version, right?
And then he came back and said, "Okay, yes, there is going to be a Deadpool 2 sequel. We're looking for we're going to have Cable in it. We're looking for a big guy flat top like Dolph Lundgren." And so
Yeah,
we're laughing at
they
that.
something about like they don't have a plot yet or
Yeah.
something. We don't even
Then
have like.
he left and stuck his head back out and went chicka chicka, which is right out of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So of course you could tell who had seen that movie by the age in the theater, because those were the people who were laughing, and the younger kids were like, "What's so
Right.
funny?"
Right. Yeah, but I mean, if they like nailed all that, I mean, even that is kind of like making fun of the whole. I mean, it's not making fun, but like they knew people would expect something at the end, and
Yep.
at least they gave they gave them that.
Oh, the whole thing just made fun of everything, which is what Deadpool does. But it was making
Yeah.
fun of Marvel, and then when you read how he came about, because his writer had just come from DC Comics. He was one of the lead writers for Teen Titans, and he came over and he was talking about this character he wanted to do to totally make fun of everything. And they're like, "Is that like Deathstroke?" He goes, "Maybe, but I want to be him like like a funny, crazy Deathstroke." And so they designed him, and he looks just like it. And so Deathstroke's name is Slade Wilson.
Hmm.
So they showed that he was still related to Deathstroke by making him Wade Wilson. That was
I see. Yeah.
their big thing.
Nice.
So he was always supposed to be a parody, and he's become
Right.
even more of that. And so I mean, but for the movie to start the parody from the opening credits, and then keep I've never had a movie where I was laughing from the opening credits, and it wasn't just from the opening credits scene, even though that was pretty funny, especially with the music
It was.
playing.
It was.
But just the credits and all the way to the very end with the Ferris Bueller chicka chicka. I mean, it was just...
I know. It's. I agree. It just like it has you right from the beginning and then doesn't let you go. Like and that I noticed that most like people were pretty pleased with it. From start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
What I was gonna say is that I don't know if they do like make a sequel. I think I'm hoping if this is the same team of writers, they can actually pull a second movie. They can pull off a second movie that's just as funny.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're
I
going to
mean,
have to have Cable. That's just... They're just going to have to. Just because it's just Deadpool and Cable. It's kind of what it always is. That's what it's become. They've had their own comic series for a long time, and they're kind of just supposed to be together. I can't stand Cable, but it's always funny with Deadpool, because Deadpool makes fun of him. Because Cable is a stupid character, and Deadpool points that out often.
There was this one thing like I felt when the movie ended and I just was walking out of the theater, and I was like, I was not that impressed with the story itself and the plot thing. It's kind of like standard stuff.
It is, but he wasn't trying to save the world,
Yes, but it wasn't. I was just trying to say that it wasn't bother to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
even
the villain wasn't like. I mean, he was good. He's a villain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's it. So he pulled that character off, but it's the story itself is not that original, which doesn't matter essentially. You still get the fun, which is kind of why you're in there if you know what you're getting into. for
I
people
mean,
who were
yeah,
expecting some
it's
sort of, like intriguing plot and stuff and twists and blah blah blah.
no,
They won't get that.
there's no twist, but that
Yeah,
wouldn't be right either because Deadpool doesn't really have that. I mean, it was a very standard revenge story
right.
that ended
Yeah,
up going bad, where the villain, kidnapped. So it became more of it turned into not only revenge, but you stole my girl, you kidnapped, my girlfriend.
yeah,
Um, but I kind of, but it worked because it wasn't, we're saving the world like every other Marvel
yeah,
movie is, or even Green Lantern was, and which I know is not Marvel. Okay, I'm not trying to say Green Lantern was Marvel. And when Colossus is trying to talk him into being a hero, he still shoots the guy in the head. It's like I'm so sorry, but you just kept droning on and on.
yeah. The shooting in the head bit was expected,
Oh yeah, because
which
when
again,
Colossus is talking, I was like, oh yeah, he's so gonna kill this guy.
yeah,
He's not gonna let him go.
he's asking for it, and we all know how this is gonna end. Which again is thumbs up for that.
Hmm.
Again, another like gesture that goes against the whole usual formula of saving the world and
Hmm.
having a happy ending, and then somebody maybe dying, or major characters being in a risky situation, and yet they will pull through. But so
Right.
yeah, as I said, it's a kind of a situation where you don't like necessarily care
Hmm.
what
Well,
the whole
which is what Deadpool does. I mean, he even says in the very
yeah.
beginning when that girl says, "You're my hero," he goes, "No, I'm not," and he's like, "No,"
uh,
he's like,
yeah,
"I'm a bad guy who kills bigger bad guys."
bigger bad guys, and
that's
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 it.
the thing. It's like I'm not a
Yeah,
hero. I just but he only
right.
does it.
That's a good
But he's
that's
kind
a
of
good
like
setup. Yeah,
Geralt.
yeah.
Bitch got to get paid. He
Right,
doesn't do
right.
this out of the goodness of his heart.
Exactly. So his morals are, obviously not, it's not a lawful good kind of
Oh no, he.
Skywalker,
I'd
Captain
say
America character.
I'd
It's far
almost
from that.
say like neutral.
Well,
Maybe
yeah,
neutral,
I
neutral. He
guess.
just doesn't give a shit.
Yes. I guess, yeah. Yeah. You could say that. You could say that. And
Oh,
it's kind of
wow,
cool
we
that
just went seriously nerdy there. Look at
no,
it.
I was gonna say that it's kind of cool that he's just because of that thing, he is in the X-Men universe, because
Oh,
all
they
the
need it.
goody stuff can be handled by Professor X, and the gang.
And Cyclops.
Yeah, and he's basically just doing his own thing, which is I'm just saying it kind of gives, in a very crowded universe,
Hmm.
it gives him his own space, which is amazing to me.
They made
Cool.
essentially, because you look at his powers, they made a funny and entertaining Wolverine. And a
Right.
taller one. And one that doesn't say bub and smokes a bunch of cigars
Oh
and
god.
can't get over Jean Grey for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah, that scene in Days of the Future Past.
No, because I won't see it.
Oh, you didn't watch it, sir.
Mm-mm.
Never mind. But I was gonna say that was a very asshole scene to me, where Hugh Jackman. I mean,
Hugh Jackman. It was Hugh Jackman
Wolverine.
personally.
Yeah. He wasn't in character. He was behind the camera. It's just- no, he was just like sitting in a bar, and what's his name, Magneto, and Professor X approach him to just like join us and all that stuff, but they didn't even get a chance to speak, because they just entered the bar and approached him from like both sides,
Hmm.
and they were like, I am Charles Xavier, he says, and I'm what's Magneto's name,
Eric.
Eric, right, and I'm Eric something. Eric, come on, come
Gosh, I
on.
can't think of
We're
it.
better nerds than this.
I'm
Uh,
happy I got the Eric right.
and I'm Eric Fleur, whatever. And he doesn't say anything to them apart from like, "Go fuck yourselves," and that's the end of the scene. And that's all you're gonna like see in that movie. I think it wasn't Days of the Future Past. It was
X
the
Men
other one.
Origins
No. First
for
class.
First Class.
Yeah, it was that one. And I was like, man, what an asshole. I remember, going away thinking Wolverine is an asshole,
Oh yeah, he
and
is.
I'm actually, double glad I did not see the Wolverine movies because I don't know if I've heard anything good about them. So and I'm really glad that the Deadpool keeps making fun of him.
To the point he actually cut Hugh Jackman's face out of People magazine and stapled it to his head.
That's the best. Yeah, yeah. Oh God. Yeah, it's almost like it's not a movie. You're actually watching somebody have fun with the franchise, like real time, and like.
It's almost like they put Ryan Reynolds in this red suit and we're just like, go.
Yeah, yeah. Do whatever comes into your mind. We're gonna give you all the freedom. Yeah, it's great. I mean, even the whole story about how he waited for the part for like, what was it, 11 years or something?
Right. Well, and I've told
Awesome.
friends of mine and that are not into comics, like, even if you don't like comics, like, I think you'd still like this
Yeah.
movie because it makes fun of so much. And like, oh,
Right,
okay, that
right.
sounds interesting. So,
Yeah, yeah. You don't have to be a comic, but I mean,
Mhm.
like a comic fanboy or X-Men fanboy or whatever.
you don't even have to know anything about Deadpool ahead of time. Sean didn't know anything.
Yeah.
So, and I
Yeah,
knew
and
very, very little. But,
exactly, because as I said at the beginning, is that kind of humor
right.
that's very much lacking, lately in movies. Kind of ballsy humor. Let's just put it that way. I don't know why I did this when I said ballsy.
What's kind of funny because, in the beginning, when he's sitting there drawing that picture of Francis and swinging his legs back and forth,
Yeah,
and he's
and
like,
doing this.
he goes, oh, hey, you're probably wondering how the fuck did this red loser get this money? Well, what was it? Which X-Men's balls did I have to fondle to get this money? Well, I can tell you who. He's got claws, and he's made by Hugh Jackman, and he's doing this.
See, that was very early on in
Yes.
the movie, and both my girlfriend and like myself, we were already like laughing, like hysterically, and everybody in the theater was as well.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually. I mean, usually in movies, well, just lately become a thing. I guess people leave during the movie a lot. I haven't seen that, So it's a compliment anyway. I think people enjoy it generally, no matter what their taste is, kind of in what kind of movie they're into. It's just basically a very unique. What I don't get is why it did get kind of like a mixed reviews from critics. That's what I don't get. I really don't. I mean, I haven't read much because I didn't want to read any.
Okay, I can probably answer this. Critics, generally, like the really hardcore movie critics, aren't fans of comedy, and they're generally very harsh on comedy and meta comedy. And because if you think about it, comedy is very subjective
It's personal, yeah.
versus a drama that it's much more easier to make that a universal thing of how it's going to grab somebody and make them cry or make them feel, which is I think one reason why you see more Oscars nominated. You don't really see comedies for Oscar nominations, and I don't think it's because the acting is any better. I just think that it just critically it gets to a wider appeal for an audience, because some people, they'll like this type of comedy, some people like this type of comedy. Because if you're going to go by box office numbers for what people like, well then Fast and the Furious should be in the Oscars all the time, but it's not.
Yeah, I see your point.
So,
yeah.
So anyway, maybe we should move into what we're playing. I can make this quick because I kind of took.
Oh sure, yeah.
I kind of
okay,
took this.
Go ahead.
I took this weekend off after last week, and I did. So I worked on some more. Every now and then I turn on Lego Marvel's Avengers and clear out the hub worlds one by one, and I got 3 hub worlds down. Just 4 more to go.
Of course. So yeah, basically we had a busy week last week.
Yep.
I didn't do a lot of gaming myself. I did play on Friday a bit of XCOM and Unravel, and I also felt like, man, you know what? I really need the rest. And then, although I had fun, with both games, I was like, I need a break.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Sunday, I did what I thought I'd never do again, which is actually find a bit of time for The Witcher. Uh, well, actually, I was looking for a game for an RPG to finish, and I didn't finish Fallout 4, and I didn't finish The Witcher, and I was like, man, which one should I play? And I was very much after playing half Fallout 4 for maybe 15 minutes, I was bored. I mean, honestly, I know it's a kind of thing where you just go and explore, but that's not the kind of laid back entertainment I want myself, personally.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather sit and play hardcore stuff. Like, when I say hardcore, I mean XCOM stuff, nerdy, turn-based stuff you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Or The Witcher, which I was like, you know what, The Witcher has me, because I remember I loaded a save where where I was just continuing my game, and it was in the middle of a story quest, and it immediately got me hooked.
Mm-hmm.
And I played that for, I don't know, less than an hour, because that's how much time I had. But that's what I want to go back to, or something like, I don't know, the Inquisition, which I never finished, Dragon Age.
Right. Yeah, I still want to finish that too. And I'll come back to Street Fighter V when the rest of the game releases.
Yeah.
So if you really want to watch something funny, because I suck at fighting games, this is just a fact, but I love playing them.
But
you can go watch a video of the story mode, which I do say that even when I'm talking to somebody, I do say story mode. I actually do like the air quotes, and I'm not using any fancy moves, and the only regret I have about these videos is that I wish I had recorded the video where I beat a guy in the story mode by just punching.
Yeah, but still, the video you posted is an adequate demonstration of.
Because that one I got a flawless victory, but not. And all I just punched and I think I just did the light punch and light kick. I didn't even do anything heavy.
This game has a full price tag, right?
Sure does.
Jesus.
With a 16 character roster, no real story mode, and I mean, basically, as I even said this in the review, it was made for tournaments and for people who want to practice to get in tournaments and people who really want those ranked matches. If that's not what you want right now, I hate to say it, but wait till the full game comes out.
Nothing in there.
It's very bare.
Virtually nothing. Yeah, I think the world unanimously declared this very thing. Like,
I think my favorite metaphor I saw I think it was from PC Gamer, actually. They said that that you can see the foundation for it is great, but all you can see is the scaffolding of what's going to be. Like, that's probably
that's a
great metaphor for it, because that's totally accurate.
Right.
Anyway,
we can wrap this up.
Yes, let us do that.
It is time.
It is time. So, with that said, we would like you to subscribe to our YouTube videos so that you can watch this, as well as watching me do a flawless victory with light punches and kicks. I
love that video. I must admit. I've watched it twice, so.
I mean, it makes me look good. I swear. Until if you really look at wait, she's not using any decent attacks. I can tell you right now, you can't take what I did in that video and apply it to the ranked matches. You will not get far.
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
Or even the casual matches, they will still rip you a new one. But anyway, so subscribe to our YouTube videos. You can see all this exciting stuff. If you don't want to watch our lovely faces, you can always subscribe to our podcast format on SoundCloud or on iTunes. You can follow us all on Twitter. The site is action_trip. I am at Crunchy Chocobo, and Udarash is at Urevader. And of course, we ask you to read actiontrip.com every day. We got news, features, and reviews, and comics. Come for the comics, stay for the articles. That should be our tagline.
Yes, you just did it. You nailed it. Well, it's goodbye from me, and see you next week.
All right, bye everybody.